And we're back with some more Washington Capitals franchise mode in FHM 10. And in this one, we are going to get through the rest of the offseason of year number 8. In the last one, we approached Carson Lambos with a contract extension and Ty Kartai with a new contract, as he is in free agency right now after spending most of last season with the Rangers. I also offered Quentin Bourne and Ashton Tite contract extensions, as they've been very good simulators for us so far. And of course, as you might remember, we are currently on the search for a new head coach, as I'm currently the head coach, and I don't think that's a good idea with my 7 motivation, 7 discipline, only 14 tactics. I mean, that's not bad, but, you know, not where I'd like it to be. I had 2 guys in mind for the new head coach, and the first one would be Jordan LePage, who got some good ratings in there. Defensive preference, very physical. That's unlike Guy Boucher, who had a standard physical preference. He's got a 16 motivation, 13 player management, 13 discipline, 16 tactics, great coaching, defense, and physical training. But unfortunately, the downside to him is that he's technically a scout. Even though it says assistant coach as his job, he's technically supposed to be a scout, given his job rating of 20 for the scout. Although his scouting ratings are 5 and 3, so I don't understand that, frankly. But the point is that he will not be as effective as he could be in a coaching role if his coaching rating was 20 instead of 15. And the second guy I was considering is Dave Strachan. He's got the standard offensive preference, so that's not really what I'm looking for, but he does have a physical preference. And when you take a look at his motivation, 17, 19 tactics, 18 in-game tactics. So he seems like he'd be a very good coach for winning in the playoffs, as motivation and tactics in particular are what I really look for. My only issue with him, though, is that his discipline's pretty low at 5. Player management's at 10, so it's passable, and he's not really going to help develop our young players too much. But at this point, you know, we're mostly just concerned about winning the Stanley Cup. And his coaching rating is at a 20, so he is a natural coach. It's just that some of his ratings aren't where I like them to be, and he doesn't have a defensive preference. But those are the 2 I'm deciding between. And honestly, I'm leaning towards Strachan just because that 19 tactics, 17 motivation is really nice. He also has the aggressive line matching tendency, which I'm a fan of. He's also, of course, got the physical preference, which as a team, we are a very physical team. And combined with Strachan's coaching rating being at 20, tactics at 19, I feel like he's the choice here. I'm still like teetering back and forth a little bit on LePage, just because that very physical preference, defensive preference as well, 16 motivation, 16 tactics. If Strachan had maybe a bit higher discipline and like a defensive preference, that would seal the deal for me. But I think this is as close as we're gonna get, honestly, to the coach that I'm looking for. Because I've been looking all around and I have not found any other coach that comes even close. So between Strachan and LePage, I think it's gotta be Strachan. And comparing both of them to Boucher, I mean, Boucher obviously the better coach in terms of developing players, but he only has a 12 motivation, which might be part of the reason why we were repeatedly failing the playoffs. 16 tactics, which is good. Defensive preference, so that again, that's why I'm looking for the defensive preference coach and the balanced physical preference. So again, if it wasn't for his low discipline and the fact that he has a standard offensive preference instead of defensive, then Strachan would be an instant hire. Yeah, I've been coming back to Strachan more often than not, so I think it's got to be Strachan. Again, I'm not 100% sold on either of them, but I think my gut is telling me that 17 motivation and that 19 tactics is going to come in clutch, along with the fact that he has an actual 20 coaching rating as opposed to the 15 for Jordan LePage. So 2 seasons for Dave Strachan. Okay, there you go. There is our new head coach, finally out of the way. And now the other big decision of this offseason. Adam Fantilli is a free agent, as we saw in the last one. But the 2 questions to answer are, do we need Fantilli? As in, will he fit in our lineup? And can we afford Fantilli? As far as fitting into the lineup, we don't have any centers who are even close to his abilities. So yes, he will fit into our lineup. It's just a matter of figuring out who he replaces, you know? Because I think Misa would be a great second line center. So we're keeping him, no doubt. But the decision is between, I think, Carconi and Kulik, because both of them are on expiring deals, and Kulik wants 5.3 for 3 years on his next deal, and Carconi wants 5.1. So, you know, if we get a player like Fantilli, then there's no way we're affording both of them, both Kulik and Carconi. So I think we got to choose one or the other here, assuming we're able to sign Fantilli. Like if we don't get Fantilli, then we may as well just keep both of them. But if we do, then we have to choose ideally by the trade deadline who to get rid of, or possibly even as soon as we sign Fantilli, you know, because one of those guys is going to get benched between Kulik, Mata, and Carconi. The biggest question mark about this season is, are Spencer Knight and Jack Ivankovic going to be able to hold it together like they did last season? If they can perform this year like they did last season, at least during the regular season. For some reason, Spencer Knight did not do too well during the playoffs, 873, but if they can perform like they did during last year's regular season for the entire year this year, including playoffs, then we're an instant contender with the possible acquisition of Fantilli. So let's see once again what Fantilli wants. 7.5 for 6 years and a no movement clause. I think we have to have a maximum here. I'm not going to overextend for Fantilli. As good as he is, we cannot afford to be paying him something like 9.5 or 10 mil. So we really have to be smart with the financial situation here. I think we'll be fine because going into, as we see next season, so the season after this one, we'll have 29.2 in available cap space with things as they are now. Obviously, that'll change once Lambos, Kartai, Ty, and Bourne all sign. But even after they all sign, we should still have a good 14 million or so in available cap for the season after this one. So to answer the question of can we afford Fantilli, I think so. As long as we make the right moves, I think so. So let's start out with what he wants here. And I will offer 8 mil for 6 years. And I think my maximum, if we have to negotiate, 8.75, I think is the highest I'm willing to go. Yeah, but we're going to start with 8 mil for right now. So I guess with that, we will advance ahead and see if we get Adam Fantilli. All right, so we have contract extensions to Quentin Bourne, Ashton Tite, and Carson Lambos locked up. Now we're just waiting for the decisions of Fantilli and Kartai, but I would imagine we'll get to the draft before then. Fantilli, this offer won't do. Okay. Almost 11 million. Well, so much for that. All right, I mean, maybe I should have just offered 8.75 right off the bat, but oh man, that's just a lot. That's just almost 11 mil. That's too much. That's way too much. It's too much for Fantilli. As good as he is, like that's just he's never cracked 100 points. I mean, he came close. He came very close during the 2025-26 season, but just I don't. That's not worth it. It's not. I can't bring myself to do that. So we're gonna withdraw our offer for Fantilli, unfortunately. And you know what? I'm gonna take a look around the league and see if there's anyone who might possibly be available. Maybe I could trade for a first line center here. I mean, that's also bound to be expensive, but you know, at least maybe we could possibly retain some cap, and hopefully that'll make it a little bit better. Okay, so I'm not doing this, but I just offered Kulik, Misa, Lambos, the rights to Kingersky, and a first round pick to Colorado for Jack Hughes, and they're not even close to doing it. So that's not happening. I thought it's a possibility since they're in a rebuild right now, apparently. But yeah, that's not happening. If not even Lambos can get it done, Lambos a first, Misa, that is just, it's not happening. All right, I give up. There's I have looked all around the league, tried all kinds of trades, and there's just nothing that would not cost like Lynn plus Lambos plus Misa plus a first round pick and a prospect or something. Like that's how much was needed to trade for a first line center that wasn't on the trade block. So yeah, I don't think it's happening, unfortunately. And we know Fantilli's not happening now. Honestly, I think we just go with this roster for right now into the regular season, and then we'll see if anyone appears on the trade block over the course of the season. Maybe, you never know. I mean, like maybe Colorado puts Jack Hughes on the trade block, but unless that happens, then I don't think that we're going to be getting any new centers here. I mean, maybe we could get a new winger. Suzdalev didn't exactly do well last year. So maybe if there's a winger out there, then I wouldn't mind upgrading Suzdalev. Unfortunately, I'm not really finding any wingers that I'm a fan of either. There's Matt Boldy, who I was able to put a trade together for, but unfortunately, he has a no movement clause and we're not on his list. So unfortunately, there's just not really anything in the cards right now. So I think we'll just go ahead to the draft at the very least. And here's the draft lottery. At 16, we have New Jersey, 15, Anaheim, Boston, Nashville, Florida, Ottawa, Dallas, Colorado, Tampa, Philly, Minnesota, Columbus, St. Louis, San Jose, LA, and Pittsburgh picking at number 1. All right, let's see if there is. So I was gonna say maybe there's a franchise winger or a franchise center out there this season, but it doesn't appear so. So let's pick Until Human, and that is just great. Right, we have Calgary's pick, and they won the Stanley Cup, so we're picking at 32. That means, and we have nothing but 2-star potentials available to us. And oh dear, that's ugly. No, 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 no. I mean he's the best one I've seen so far, but ideally not. Oh, wait a minute. Anton Rukavishnikov is a 1-star ability, 2-star potential, personality. Let's see, there's no other 2-star potentials have a 1-star ability, so he's the only one there. Yeah, I'm not feeling this draft, like, at all. Maybe I'll take this guy, Rukavishnikov, but that is about it. And the unfortunate part is I can't even find a trade that I'd be interested in making to trade my 1st-round pick. Yeah, there's nothing. There's literally nothing that I'm interested in trading this 1st-round pick for. So I think we'll just take Rukavishnikov. There you go. Welcome to the Washington Capitals. And then we'll just simulate the rest of the draft once again. All right, Ty Kartai is back with your Washington Capitals after a brief stint with the New York Rangers. He is back where he should be. He wants to wear number 12, but it's currently worn by Ivan Mata, and that was his number before he got traded. Unfortunately, he's going to have to choose a different number here. Yeah, sure, 21. So it looks like Adam Fantilli signed with the Calgary Flames. He signed for 12.26 million for 6 years. Yeah, we weren't affording that. There's no chance we were affording that. That was not happening at all. That being said, we still have a lot of cap space. We're only at 70 mil right now. So that's why I feel like I should do something, but there's just nothing. There's no one that's available who is catching my interest, or at least nothing that would be a clear upgrade from what we already have, you know? Even with Suzdalev, I feel like maybe given the chance he could bounce back, you know, because he had 59 points last season, or the season before last season, and then 67 the year before that, right? So it's a weird spot to be in because it's there's no one available, and I feel like I should do something, but I can't if I don't want to overextend like crazy. Yeah, I think it would be in our best interest to just go ahead for now and see if anyone pops up on the trade block later. So with that, we're gonna go ahead to probably the start of the regular season. But before that, we have a trade with the Pittsburgh Penguins, sending Kingersky, Royston, and Lemire to Pittsburgh in exchange for a bunch of draft picks, because I don't want to re-sign any of these guys, because none of these guys really performed too well up to their potential. So we're just getting a little something back for them while sending them to the rebuilding Pittsburgh Penguins, where they'll hopefully be able to have a bigger impact. And for the Hockey Hall of Fame, you have Steve Larmer, Alex Ovechkin, as if there was any doubt, John Tavares, and Sean Burks. So Backstrom doesn't make it in, unfortunately. Not this year, anyway. Ooh, not a good injury to start out the season. A fan of sub for 1 to 2 months. So unfortunately, already starting out shorthanded here. And we're now at the end of the preseason, so here is our roster for the start of year number 9. We have Knight and Ivankovic in goal. We're going to roll with Knight for now, but he's just, I don't know, he's so inconsistent. Between the playoffs last year being not great with that 873, and then at 910 during the regular season, but the year before that, 893 during the regular season, but at 938 during the playoffs, I just don't know what to make of him. So we're going to keep an eye on him for sure. On defense, you have Lambos, Lynn, Levshunov, Bourne, Galvis, Anderson, and Elaine Samake. And at forward, you have Suzdalev, Kidney, Deruio, Carrier, Kartai, Misa, Kulik, Mata, Karkoni, Crystal, Toropchenko, and Tite. And then on the injured reserve list are Huang and Afanasev. So Huang's injury from last year still in effect. He should be back soon, but that is a long injury, man. Holy. But with that, I think we're gonna end things off here. And the next one, we will go through year number 9 with your Washington Capitals.